left off last time. So if you remember last time we talked about the heretic Eutychus, and he's the one that claimed that Jesus came down as a man and he became a hybrid. He pretty much kind of became a new substance. So he's no longer fully man and no longer fully God, but this new creation or being. And because of this, the emperor ordered the Council of Chalcedon. This is the fourth ecumenical council. Ecumenical again means to be the universal church is getting together. And this was ordered by Emperor Marcian, and he had 420 bishops show up to this council. And this was the largest ecumenical council recorded. It was also the best documented one as well, so we have a lot of information on this council. And this is, remember, is the one that condemned the Council of Ephesus, which happened a couple years earlier. They called it a robber council, the one where it was taken over by a one-sided party. So this council was denounced, that council was denounced, and over here, Leo, he is the Bishop of Rome, so pretty much from the lineage of the popes. He is the one that came and, well, he didn't come there personally, but sent delegates who brought the tome of Leo. And the tome is pretty much means a volume or a book, so it's pretty much like a long writing, pretty much refuting Eutychus. So the Bishop of Rome wanted to be the umpire, if you want to say in our terms. The Bishop of Rome wanted to be the one making the calls, saying, okay, this is right and this is wrong, you got to listen to me. So he started asserting more ecclesiastical or church-based authority over other cities. And this was an important stepping stone for the Bishop of Rome to become a pope, to establish the papacy. This is the same Leo, if you look in history, it is the same Leo that has pretty much elevated the supremacy of the bishops of Rome over all the other bishops in the empire, because he said that Christ has given his succession to Peter, St. Peter, as St. Peter alone has this, as they claim, the keys to the church. And the power was passed down to Peter and to his successors, which are in Rome, therefore the popes have power. So this was the same Leo that came to this council and gave this tome or book against Eutychus. And also they talked about, in this tome, which is, the doctrines were correct in some sense, because they talked about Jesus' incarnation when he came down, when he became into flesh, became a human being. And here is what is said, that he had two natures. They coexisted, so they're not like mixed in or anything. They had two natures, the deity and the humanity of Christ, being in one person, without any confusion. So it's pretty much two natures, one person, and we'll leave it at that. We will not try to figure it out. We're not going to try to go into it deeply. This is a mystery that we cannot solve, but we know that this is what Scripture teaches. So that's one question they have decided. They also reaffirmed what happened in the Council of Constantinople, or when they reaffirmed the Bishop of Constantinople as the second bishop after the Roman bishop. So they pretty much said this, and this also is a staging ground for the Great Schism, where the Catholic Church split from the Orthodox Church. Because the Bishop of Rome did not like this. He did not like the Bishop of Constantinople because he is fairly new. As a city, it's fairly new. And they really like their traditions. If you know anything about Catholic churches, they're very into traditions and that stuff. And they said he should not be a bishop, or the second in command type of thing. Also, this creed that they wrote in the Council of Chalcedon, this creed became known as the Athanasian Creed. It was likely penned, like people don't know for sure, but it was likely penned by Ambrose of Milan, And it was traditionally believed this because he had a really strong sense on the Trinity. And he was living around that time as well. What's interesting, though, is Athanasius was dead at that time. So Athanasius, if you remember, was the guy that disputed against Arius, which was way before this. And so Athanasius was dead, but the reason why they named the Athanasius Creed was because of what Athanasius believed. Because Athanasius was very strongly arguing for the sound doctrine in the church, so they named this creed after him. And they condemned Eutychus. They exiled him, banished him to a monastery. So he was confined to a monastery until he died. And they also, Dioscorus, the bishop of Alexandria, who started the robber council, he was also excommunicated and banished as well. Now, not everybody accepted this council, and these people became known as the Oriental Orthodox Church. Now, keep in mind, this is different than the Eastern Orthodox Church, because they're two different entities. The Oriental Orthodox Church, they uphold all the councils before the Council of Chalcedon. So they agree with the Council of Nicaea, agree with the Council of Constantinople, agree with the Council of Ephesus. All those other councils that happened beforehand that we went over, they agree with it. But they do not agree. The Council of Chalcedon, that's where they split from the Universal Church, as was known back then. And mostly this is in the Middle East area. Roughly, that's where they kind of originate. If you look on the map, you see that there's Egypt and Ethiopia, also a little bit in India. It's a little shaded, so it's a little bit in India as well, in Syria. So in those type of regions is mostly there. And what they believed is pretty much what Eutychus believed in some form, a little bit modified. They say that Jesus is one nature, but this one nature consists of two natures. So it's still kind of confusing. It's one nature, but it's kind of like you can see two natures mingling with it. So that's what that church believes. And so we're not going to go through all the first seven councils, but we're going to just go through the first four because these are like the primary ones, because these ones set the foundation for the Catholic Church, for the Orthodox Church, and for other churches to come. So because these councils, the primary issue was salvation. And this is a big issue because, God came down to save us, and if we don't understand it properly, we will not be saved. So they had these councils to try to clarify that. And here they wrote the creeds, limiting and shaping how we are to speak about Jesus, how we're not to speak about Jesus. And these first four councils, all the Christians agree on. Like the Catholic Church agrees on it, the Eastern Orthodox agree on this, the Protestants agree on this. The first four councils are kind of unanimously say, yes, these councils, what they have decided is the main decision of this council are correct views on doctrine-wise. Other than, the bishops having superiority and all that stuff. The decisions they made on Christ, they say these are correct. Now the next four councils, the next three councils described, they were kind of like more mystical in a sense. And so the seventh council was on icons. We'll go over it a little bit later. But this first seven councils, the Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church accepts. Protestants don't accept it because the seventh council is about icons, like how to worship God through icons, and most Protestants don't accept that. And there's 21 councils for the Catholic Church. They claim there's 21 councils, and only the Catholic Church accepts it, because after the seventh council, most of the Orthodox don't accept any councils after that. Well, some accept the 8th and 9th, but after that, no one accepts the councils except for the Catholics. So the Catholics say there's 21 councils, but mostly no one accepts those, except for the first couple ones. And we'll continue next time.